Things off with Austin Theory defending the United States Championship against John Cena. Now, I was a little bit surprised, especially when the Make-A-Wish kids came out during John Cena's entrance, that Cena actually lost this match. Of course, Cena goes for the AA, referee goes down, Theory able to take advantage, the wall blow the A-Town down. Austin Theory is still your United States champion. I had predicted that Cena would win the championship. He would issue an open challenge tonight on the Raw after WrestleMania, and then he would lose the United States Championship to either an up-and-coming superstar, a return, or a debuting superstar. That obviously did not happen. I don't know how much heat necessarily this gains on Theory just because it was a dirty victory. If it was a clean victory, I think it could have elevated Theory and proved his point. They certainly have left the door open for a Theory Cena rematch down the line, whether that be at one of these upcoming international shows or SummerSlam in Detroit, or the Theory just moves on and tries to be a typical heel and say that, cheaters that don't get caught don't cheat, something like that. And Theory goes on, he moves into a new program for the United States Championship, which I think is the more suitable of the possibilities to come up. I'm sorry, guys, if you hear me stumbling or getting a lots of words say, there's obviously a lot on my mind. This is one of the craziest weeks in the history of professional wrestling. But let's start with match number 2, that being Alpha Academy, the Street Profits, the Viking Raiders, Braun Strowman and Ricochet in a match that had no business being this good. The men's Fatal 4-Way Showcase match, which I think they did a good job at sort of explaining the winner of this match could become the new #1 contenders for the Undisputed Tag Team Championships, which we'll obviously get to in the main event. Just star-studded. Chad Gable suplexing Braun Strowman was amazing. The hard hitting, obviously, of the Viking Raiders, and then Ricochet just fly incredibly high and just dominating. Braun Strowman doing his choo-choo spot on the outside. Otis delivering Strowman with a world's strongest slam. I sort of felt like, everybody got their moment in this match. Again, for a second match, for a cooldown spot, Ricochet, the standing shooting star press on the outside, then doing a complete dive, as well as Montez Ford hitting from the Evans, with Angelo Dawkins getting the roll-up victory. Well done. Again, you knew this was going to be a good match, even though there wasn't a lot of stakes, just because it's 4 very solid tag teams in the tag team division. But well done to everybody there. Obviously, Viking Raiders, Strowman and Ricochet, Alpha Academy, and the Street Profits. Next match, one of my favorite matches of night 1, that being Seth Rollins and Logan Paul. Logan Paul pulling a little bit of the Shawn Michaels hanging from the ceiling coming down at WrestleMania. I thought that was a nice touch. I was surprised a little bit he didn't hang quite all the way down to the ring, but maybe they did that for safety reasons. Then I thought it was a really cool moment with the conductor coming out conducting Seth Rollins' song, and Seth Rollins soaked it all in. And outside of Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, I would say Seth Rollins got the biggest pop of night 1. For a WrestleMania crowd that I would say was good. I actually thought they were better on night 2 than they were for night 1, even though arguably I will say this, I think night 1 was better than night 2 overall. Night 2 certainly had better moments. I think we all had very high expectations for a pretty even show throughout, though night 2 I thought was mostly carried by 2 to 3 matches, where night 1 was the better overall arching card. And that seems to be the theme throughout these 2-night WrestleManias that have happened since the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020. But of course, Logan Paul coming out with his energy drink, which we later found out in the match KSI was behind, and Seth Rollins ended up putting KSI for the announce table with a splash, which I thought was a really cool spot. Overall, yeah, these guys just they work really hard. Logan Paul, obviously, with that one lucky shot that did not result in a freak out. Rollins, they were at the pedigree, followed up by the stop, and Seth Rollins going over clean in this match, I think is the right call. We noted during the WrestleMania prediction show that Logan Paul's contract is up with WWE, though I expect him to be re-signed. And I think this opens the door. Obviously, Logan Paul living in Puerto Rico for a rematch at Backlash, where Logan Paul then goes over Seth Rollins, and maybe they do some sort of no disqualification, no holds barred match. I was a little bit surprised Jake Paul did not appear in any capacity. I thought maybe Jake Paul, obviously Logan's brother, being the pop culture phenomenon that he is, may get involved in this contest, but that was not to be. Again, a very solid contest, and for Logan Paul to only have 4 matches in this industry, obviously teaming with Miz against Ray and Dominic at WrestleMania 38, the singles match with Miz at SummerSlam, Roman Reigns then at Crown Jewel in Saudi, and then Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 39. 1 year, 4 matches with 4 bona fide studs, and Logan Paul made the best work out of all of them. He is truly, even though he's technically a part-timer and a social media megastar, Logan Paul to me, just like Pat McAfee, and we'll get to Pat here in a little bit, is a bona fide professional wrestler. The next match on the card, I actually thought was the worst match of the night. Damage Control against Becky, Trish, and Lita. I think we were all suspecting some kind of heel turn from Trish Stratus. That did not come about. Io Sky doing a moonsault was pretty cool. You add, obviously, Trish Stratus doing the moonsault where Becky and Lita kind of lifted her up, backwards Hurricane Rana spot, which is pretty cool. And then the Manhandle Slam was a nice ending. Manhandle slam to Bayley off the top rope, though Bayley and Damage Control have not won a lot. And so it makes Damage Control, in my opinion, a little bit less credible. But nonetheless, Becky Lynch, Trish Stratus, Lita win, and I wonder who's going to take the tag team championships off them. Could be Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler, and it could be as early as tonight, the Raw after WrestleMania. The next match, oh my goodness, Dominic Mysterio, you piece of shit, son, you son of a bitch. Dominic Mysterio had one of the best entrances in the history of WrestleMania. Coming out, and the video package shoot was great, but him coming out in the back of a police van, being surrounded by cops while wearing Rey Mysterio's mask, I thought was one of the best entrances again in the history of the Showcase of the Immortals. Followed up by Rey Mysterio running along Snoop Dogg, who, hosted the event with Miz and had some cool spots that we'll get to. Shout out to Snoop Dogg. I really thought he had a great time and a great influence on WrestleMania Goes Hollywood. But entering, Rey Mysterio using Snoop Dogg's limo to Eddie Guerrero's theme music. Again, another iconic entrance. Rey Mysterio spanking his son Dominic, and the referee allowing it, I thought was absolutely fantastic. Obviously the spot with Angie and Rey's daughter Aaliyah. I thought the family has played so well into the story. It's not just Rey and Dominic. It's Angie, it's Aaliyah, and they've grown up in this business too. And Rey Mysterio, obviously, great speech at the Hall of Fame. I thought the Hall of Fame, by the way, was well produced. Did not feel too long at all. I thought the Hall of Fame was amazing. I thought Rey had a great speech. Obviously, Dominic, Rhea, Damian Priest walking out of Rey's Hall of Fame speech, I thought was a great added touch to the storyline. I'm sure Dom probably went back there in real life and bawled his eyes out, but nonetheless, I thought it was great to stay in character. I thought everything worked. Legado del Fantasma, the Latino World Order, a recall back to Eddie Guerrero's days in WCW. Like, I just thought it all worked. And Rey hitting the 619 and defeating Dominic, I wasn't sure if Rey wanted to get one over on his son. But Rey winning, and then Bad Bunny getting involved, looking like we're going to get Bad Bunny versus Dominic, or maybe even a tag team match where you get Rey and Bad Bunny versus Dominic and Damian Priest. at Backlash would be an absolute phenomenal. When hearing Michael Cole, who him and Corey Graves, obviously Titus O'Neil had a great spot in the men's showcase in the Triple Threat IC title match on night 2. But Michael Cole and Corey Graves for calling almost 90% exclusively of the action by themselves both nights of WrestleMania did a fantastic job specifically in this match. What a barn burner, and this feud is continuing, and I cannot wait to see what happens. Now, Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley. There was speculation that this SmackDown Women's Championship match could main event the show. And I thought WWE did a good job, and I think this is really important, right? The first time in WWE history where all 4 people a part of the match were women. The ring announcer, Samantha Irvin, referee Jessica Carr, and obviously Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley. You don't get those elements a lot. There's been obviously woman ring announcers. There's been woman referees. But there hasn't been a moment where you have a women's match with a woman's ring announcer and a woman's referee. I thought it was phenomenal. I thought it was a great touch to do the first ever at WrestleMania. And then these two took it personally. Charlotte Flair kicking out of the Riptide. First ever person ever kicked out of the Riptide. I was shocked. It didn't dawn on me until Flair kicked out of the Riptide that no one had ever kicked out of the Riptide, just because it's such a ferocious and vicious finisher. And then the top rope Riptide to end it all was just a sweet, daring move. Charlotte took some really bad bumps. Obviously, doing the moonsault to the outside like she always does is a WrestleMania spectacle. But the suplexes she took, the one on her face that made her face look like she was bleeding, or at least a rug burn on it, is what they said on commentary. Just Charlotte and Rhea beat the absolute hell out of each other. And they wanted to prove that they should have been the night 1 main event of WrestleMania. Though we all know that spot obviously was well deserved and went to the Bloodline and should have went to the Bloodline story. We're gonna get to that story, but first, Pat McAfee beat up the Miz, and I gotta admit, I popped for Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee's an absolute star. We all miss him on commentary. As good as Wade Barrett is on SmackDown next to Michael Cole, he's certainly no Pat Mac, who I'm sure is running the Pat McAfee show on YouTube right now as I speak at the time of this recording. George Kittle then even coming out, like just the subtle moments of WrestleMania this year. There wasn't a ton of surprises. We'll get to the one surprise that happened at night 2 that almost turned into a disaster that saved the show. But this show, outside of Cena, who obviously was a surprise, if you want to put Edge in there, go ahead. Though Edge has been around, I would say, more than Cena. Lita and Trish Stratus were viewed as sort of part-timers, main attractions this year, though their match didn't have that great of a story, and they've only been around for a couple weeks. So, but most of the stars were full-time stars, and I really enjoyed that. I thought they did a good job making WrestleMania as current star-driven as they could, in the sponsorship, I think, and everything, and the revenue and everything made up for the lack of surprise returns, if you will. But Pat Mac beating up Miz was nice until the main event of WrestleMania. And I will repeat this again when we get to the real main event of WrestleMania, night 2, the Undisputed Championship. And I will explain why I picked Roman Reigns to retain the Universal Championship and why #Brandon was right. And I called it. I said Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn will win the Undisputed Tag Team Championships. And I said Roman Reigns will retain the Undisputed Universal Championship. No knock to the Tribal Chief. He is no longer the Universal Champion. He is the Undisputed Universal Champion. But, thinking about it here and just sitting here and thinking about all of these spectacular moments that WrestleMania gave us over this weekend, Kevin Owens has main evented back-to-back WrestleManias. Last year, WrestleMania 38, the most stupendous WrestleMania in history. Kevin Owens went one-on-one with Stone Cold Steve Austin in a no-holds-barred match. This year, Kevin Owens teams with his lifelong best friend, Sami Zayn, in the most important tag team match in the 39-year history of WrestleMania and the history of World Wrestling Entertainment against the Usos, who in prior WrestleManias could barely get on the card, if not the pre-show. We're now main eventing, and had outside of Roman Reigns, you could say the match of the weekend at WrestleMania 39. There were a lot of match of the weekend candidates, whether it was Seth Rollins and Logan Paul, whether it was Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley, whether it was Edge and Finn Balor, Drew McIntyre, Gunther and Sheamus, Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, the Usos, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn. There was a lot of spectacular action, but I mean, just between the stunners and Sami Zayn kicking out of the 1D and the free Owuba kicks and the announce table spot. I mean, everything. There were so many false finishes in that match. My emotions are still taking a toll from that match, let alone the match last night. Same scenario where you think Kevin and Sami are going to win, but then there's a moment where you don't know. And then there's a moment where you think the Usos are going to win. Then you're back to, I don't know who's going to win. It is captivating. It is a spectacle. It is a sport. It is story driven. And that's one of the things that I love about WrestleMania is when it's done right. This truly felt like the main event of the show. You know, I was telling people over the weekend, obviously WrestleMania has only been a 2-night event now for 4 years, but it really has felt normal. And WWE, you know, my brother, who's a casual wrestling fan, has said, you know, Roman Reigns and maybe John Cena and a few others are the only true megastars of WWE right now. And while I agree with that, there's a lot of stars. There's not many superstars, but there's a lot of stars. There's a lot of people that deserve the main event of WrestleMania, which is why night 2, this match tonight, or I should say Saturday night, did not feel like a not main event. It felt like a true main event. It felt like it mattered. It was a huge tag team match, and that pop that Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn got was a chef's kiss pop. The lifelong friends finally take down the tag team champions, a reign of 620 days, the Usos. And now we get to the story of night 2. Before we get there, of course, night 2 kicked off with Brock Lesnar F5ing Amos. And listen, I was impressed with the way Brock Lesnar F5'd the man without even having to get on the top rope. I mean, the man literally just jumped up there, lifted him up, and planted him with an F5 after he took a massive shots of clotheslines and bear hugs and everything else, and even German suplexed him a couple times. This was different for Brock Lesnar. You know, people obviously always come to see the Beast, but this time the Beast was not in the main event. And if the Beast is not in the main event, he usually kicks off the show. Though I thought this time it would go second. I knew it would go pretty early on in the card. But Brock defeating Amos was just fun. It was what it was supposed to be. Good way to kick off WrestleMania with the F5, creating that Hogan Andre the Giant moment. Then we got a little bit of a slow burn to the card. And what I mean by that is I was not very impressed at all by the women's showcase match. Ronda Rousey coming in there at the end and picking the bones for her and Shayna Baszler. I thought Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez had some nice spots. I thought Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green did their thing as heels. I didn't think Natty and Shotzi did that much. But honestly, I thought it was the worst part of the entire weekend. I just did not buy that match at all. And then we got a quick Bobby Lashley segment with him coming out carrying the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal trophy, which did not make any sense to me. I thought, you know, give Lashley a match when Lashley did not appear to take on Miz for night 2. I had thought, or excuse me, on night 1, I thought maybe he comes out and beats up Miz on night 2 or issues an open challenge. Nothing like that. Nope, Lashley was just sitting on the sidelines this year for WrestleMania, which was a shock to me. We all know the situation with Bray Wyatt, but I don't understand for the life of me how you cannot figure out to get Bobby Lashley on the card and LA Knight for that matter, which we'll get to in a little bit. Now, Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, Gunther. Their chests looked like red meat at the end of this match. And when Michael Cole, Corey Graves, and special guest commentator Titus O'Neil are giving the three men a standing ovation for the physicalness and the brutality these three men put on, I mean, again, you could make another argument. There are so many matches. It's worth repeating many, many times. There are about 5 or 6 matches that anybody that's ever been a fan of the sport of professional wrestling, past, present, or future even, should go and watch from this weekend. I thought from an in-ring standpoint, it was one of the best wrestling WrestleManias of all time. But Gunther, Sheamus, Drew absolutely tore the house down, did not use any weapons, did not need any weapons because these three bros just know how to hit. And Gunther, who is the longest reigning intercontinental champion of the 21st century, his reign continues after powerbombing Sheamus onto Drew McIntyre and then powerbombing McIntyre into the mat for the 1-2-3. Gunther is being built up as an unstoppable force. And I gotta tell you, folks, there is a real possibility of Gunther being the one to dethrone the tribal chief. Then we got Bianca Belair and Asuka for the Raw Women's Championship, which I'll be honest with you, I was not expecting big things going into the match. I thought the match was okay. Bianca powering up Asuka after Asuka missed with the mist was a moment that I did not expect. I thought Asuka was going to walk away the Raw Women's Champion. There's really nothing left for Bianca Belair to do. She has beaten every single person to me in the Raw Women's division, but she does now have a reign of the Raw Women's Championship for over 1 year. I think that is significant. And unless you're calling up a major heel from NXT to take the championship from Belair, or you have Asuka turn heel tonight on Raw, and maybe you ever win back the Raw Women's Championship from Belair, I don't see how Belair winning the championship is best for business. Now, I wanted Bianca Belair to win because I don't really like the idea of having Asuka as champion. I don't think Asuka's, the greatest wrestler, the greatest Japanese wrestler, whatever you will call her. I don't really like Asuka. I don't, emotionally connect with her that a lot of the WWE universe does. So I'm more down on Asuka than most, but I'm just curious to see where Belair goes from here. A good match, though certainly not as good as what she had, and not even close to Sasha Banks at 37 and Becky Lynch last year. But nonetheless, Bianca Belair is 3-0 at WrestleMania. Then we get Snoop Dogg and Miz announcing the attendance of about 81,000 for night 2, and out comes Shane McMahon to a major pop from me because I was not expecting Shane McMahon to appear at WrestleMania 39 in any capacity whatsoever. Did not hear anything about it. It was a major surprise. One of the reasons being is because Shane McMahon has been very quiet. He has not said anything publicly about Vince when he obviously left in July of 2022. He has not said anything about the WWE sale. You've heard no news about Vince McMahon's son whatsoever. And so on the night that WWE gets sold to Endeavor, Shane McMahon comes out and then tears his quad in 1 second, trying to beat up The Miz. Of course, we know the rivalry from WrestleMania 35. Shane McMahon looking for revenge on Miz, tears his quad, and then Snoop Dogg has to improvise, knocks Miz out, delivers the people elbow. I thought saved the segment. I thought it was a nice cool down segment, though not as good as obviously the Pat McAfee segment on Saturday's show. Then we get to Hell in a Cell. Brood Edge versus the Demon Finn Balor, and this cell match did not go that long. Probably one of the shortest cell matches in recent Hell in a Cell memory, but it did not need to be. These two men hate each other, and they just went out and they threw the kitchen sink at each other. Whether it was red steel chairs, purple tables, purple kendo sticks, normal kendo sticks. Just the colorfulness and the brutality, and Edge using a ladder to swing Finn Balor with it in the face, which Finn Balor actually ended up getting busted open, which you couldn't see that well because of the face paint that Balor was wearing from the Demon, which was more purpley than ready. Obviously, a take on the heel Finn Balor versus the face Demon. But I thought these two put on a very classic, solid Hell in a Cell match, a great spot with an execution as well off the ladder. I thought Edge took some real good risk. I thought it was very physical. And the concerto to end the feud, we all know where this got really personal, with Rhea Ripley delivering the concerto to Beth Phoenix at Extreme Rules for Edge to complete the comeback. Concerto to the Demon King at WrestleMania 39. Edge wins in what very well might be his last WrestleMania match. And while you think you know me, Edge, you know you are my favorite WWE wrestler of all time. And so we came in for the intro today for the first time in a while because we've been doing so many guest shows here throughout the month of March and early April. But I think Edge moves on. I think Edge now moves into the final chapter of his career where he takes on some younger talent and then hangs up the boots eventually later this year in Toronto, Canada for the Judgment Day. Outside of Rhea Ripley, they all lost. And Damian Priest was barely involved this weekend. He was not involved in the Hell in a Cell match at all. It was just Edge and Finn Balor. And so for this year-long rivalry between Edge, who formed the Judgment Day at WrestleMania 38, to end, part of the Judgment Day at WrestleMania 39, I thought was great. Then we got the Hall of Fame ceremony, and then came the main event. And the whoa from the crowd all wanted the American Nightmare, the son of the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, the one and only Cody Rhodes, the former AEW EVP, former Stardust, who came back 1 year ago at WrestleMania 38 and defeated Seth freaking Rollins to be the one to dethrone the 946th day of Universal Undisputed Champion Roman Reigns' reign. But it was not meant to be. With the late, great Brody Lee's son given the weight belt by Cody Rhodes, with Brandy Rhodes and Cody Rhodes' child in the crowd, Cody Rhodes was looking to finish the story. But he got met by the final boss, the tribal chief, the head of the table, the undisputed Universal Champion Roman Reigns. And from the moment the bell rang, you could tell this match was different. There was, again, just like Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus the Usos, a lot of emotion in this match. You did not know who was going to win at times. You didn't know if Roman was going to win. You did not know if Cody was going to win. You thought, no, indifferent, back and forth. And that's what a true WrestleMania main event is all about. Obviously, the ref spot happened. I thought when Cody Rhodes was going to hit the 3 crossroads in a row, I thought that was it. Was not it. Paul Heyman able to stop the official. The Usos get involved. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn get involved. Brawl with the Usos throughout the crowd. We are back with Roman and Cody one-on-one. Looks like Cody's going to win the Undisputed Championship. And then Solo Sikoa, who was banned earlier in the match for a shot on Cody Rhodes with Cody Rhodes' weight belt, from a distraction from the wise man, Paul Heyman, the ultimate heel as a manager next to Bobby the Brain Heenan. Creates the distraction, allowing Sikoa to hit the Samoan spike, allowing Roman Reigns to retain the Undisputed Championship. And as I told you, there are 2 reasons, as I said in my WrestleMania Sunday predictions, why the head of the table, why the tribal chief is still your Undisputed Universal Champion. Reason number 1. Roman Reigns is going to be champion for 1,000 days. Roman Reigns may even be champion for 1,500 or close to 2,000 days as we go to next year, WrestleMania 40 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. WWE wants Roman Reigns to be one of the longest lasting champions of all time. They want the head of the table, the tribal chief, the undisputed Universal Champion, to be the champion all the way to past Hulk Hogan and potentially Pedro Morales to be third on the all-time list of championship reigns in WWE history. Secondly, Cody Rhodes, folks, like it or not, he is not the one to defeat Roman Reigns. Just like his dad, Dusty. Dusty always chased the WWE Championship, though he never won it. And just like his dad, Cody does not want to win the Undisputed Universe Championship. Cody wants to chase the Undisputed Championship, and Cody Rhodes, who entered WrestleMania 39 being undefeated since he returned to WWE, now as a redemption story. Now he took a loss. Now he has to figure out what went wrong, and he may go soul searching. For all we know, he may go back to Seth freaking Rollins, but he may go for the Intercontinental Championship, Gunther, which I pitched. I know there's a lot of concern about this buried Cody, and Cody's going to go back to the mid card and yada, yada, yada. With Roman Reigns still in a part-time schedule, Cody Rhodes will still be the main face of Monday Night Raw. I don't think they're going to be doing a WWE draft. From the sound of it, it looks like the draft and the brand split is kind of dead. You're going to have stars merging over, which I think Fox and USA have reportedly been happy about since it's happened come WrestleMania and Royal Rumble season. But the story now is the Usos lost, right? Roman Reigns has proven why he is the tribal chief, because the Usos could not get the job done. They could not get rid of the Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn problem. And it may be that Roman Reigns has to get rid of them for the good. And now Roman Reigns only trusts Solo Sikoa, who actually did his job by taking out Cody Rhodes and helping Roman Reigns retain. That is a possibility. That is the story they are going to write, which is Roman Reigns berating Jay and Jimmy Uso for not winning the Undisputed Tag Team Championship match, and eventually Jimmy and Jay will turn on Roman. And I do predict that Jay Uso, as I told you going into WrestleMania, Cody Rhodes is not the guy. There are a couple guys that could defeat Roman Reigns' championship reign. One being Sami Zayn, because of how involved he was in the Bloodline. But if you're not going to go the Sami route, it should be either Seth Rollins, obviously with his relationship with the Shield, and they still need to revisit that match between Roman and Rollins in the Royal Rumble of 2022, or Jey Uso, who you go back to the story of August 2020, Roman Reigns' first feud as Undisputed Universal Champion was against Jey Uso, when Roman made Jey Uso acknowledge him. And Sami Zayn kept saying for Jey Uso all this time that Jey Uso really doesn't acknowledge the tribal chief. I believe in that wholeheartedly, and I do believe that Jey Uso will be the one to dethrone Roman Reigns. Guys, it was not time. The story is not Cody Rhodes winning the Undisputed Championship, because without the Undisputed Championship, there is no head of the table. There is no tribal chief. There is no Roman Reigns without the championships. If Cody Rhodes won the championships, where does Cody Rhodes go? There's no challengers for Cody Rhodes to face, because there is no dominant heel outside of Gunther, who's already a champion, and Austin Theory, who's already a champion, and my guy LA Knight, who didn't even get on the card this year, which again did not understand at this year's WrestleMania. After they teased all that with LA Knight and then he didn't get on the card, don't understand it at all. With Roman Reigns, you have again Rollins, Jey Uso, guys from NXT potentially, Braun Breaker coming to the main roster. You still have a match with Randy Orton that I want to see. Sheamus. There are still Bobby Lashley. There are guys that Roman Reigns can still face for the Undisputed Championship. You can make it fresh. And when Roman Reigns is not on TV, you have the story of the Usos trying to get back into the good grace of the Bloodline, which will probably eventually lead to a turn. And who knows, maybe we even get Reigns versus Solo Sikoa at SummerSlam. That's another possibility. Though if Randy Orton never returns, maybe RK Bro talks some sense to the Usos and you get an RK Bro reunion. Like, there are so many different paths you can go with this. way more than if the American Nightmare were to walk out champion. It was absolutely the right call. I told you it was going to happen. Mark this down to where the Brandon was right category. Again, Usos lose, Reigns retains. That's what I said to end my WrestleMania preview, and that's what I'm saying to end my WrestleMania recap. Do you like that clip from the Brand's World podcast? If so, make sure you go down there and hit that subscribe button. While you're down there hitting the subscribe button, make sure to also hit the notification bell so you never miss another upload. And make sure you check out all the other clips from the Brand's World podcast right here on YouTube.